In Part 3, I outline 4 factors that courts may use in determining if someone's use of copyrighted material is fair or not. These factors include 1. The purpose and character of the use, 2. The nature of the copyrighted work, 3. The amount and substantiality of the work used, and 4. The effect of the use on the market value of the original. In this video, I will show how these factors apply specifically to using YouTube videos as fodder for other people's YouTube videos. Again, let me point out that I'm not a lawyer, so do not consider anything I say in this video as legal advice. This is merely my personal opinion on how fair use, as I interpret it from United States copyright law, may apply to the numerous videos that has filed illegitimate takedown notices against. To help his attorney grasp this concept, I've put together this simple rubric to help keep score. This is a list of characteristics that U.S. courts typically favor with a finding of fair use. I'll consider each characteristic while reviewing the use of content in 2 contested videos and tally the results on this chart. A check mark in the yes column means that use is probably fair. A check mark in the no column means it's probably not. And, although some universities have established bogeys for the amount of copyrighted content students may borrow for class projects, as far as U.S. courts are concerned, there are no magic numbers for the total time or ratios because courts consider other factors to determine how reasonable these numbers are. So, I'll just set an arbitrary limit of 50%. First, there are a number of characteristics that are favorable to a finding of fair use, regardless of what content you use from any of YouTube videos. Looking at the first factor, it's rather obvious that no reasonable person would try to make a profit off a YouTube video, whether it contains somebody else's copyrighted content or not. So the commercial nature of the contested video is not for profit, which is fairer than trying to sell content, as if anyone would want to buy it. Similarly, looking at the fourth factor, it would be hard for to argue about a loss of income. His YouTube videos are a work of love, or hate, as the case may be. He doesn't sell them. Well, at least he makes every effort to make it appear that he doesn't sell them. Actually, or Studios seems to be set up as a non-profit organization, a charity of sorts. I assume that because he solicits for donations on his MoonFaker website to cover his research and production costs. Interestingly, he offers a free DVD of your choice for donations of $20 or more. Good thing doesn't live in the U.S. His tax guy might have a hard time trying to convince the IRS that he's not selling those free, one-of-a-kind DVDs. Also has a couple of YouTube videos that reinforce his claim of non-profit status. And he has set up designated accounts for both his MoonFaker and Ranma productions, and a separate account to cover his general operating expenses. So the court would most likely consider the use of copyrighted material to be fair, simply and solely because he suffers no monetary loss. Like all my videos are made for YouTube. They're all free. And as for any future derivative works, chances are a major motion picture production company probably isn't lurking in the wings to license any of his material. Not that that would matter, because by agreeing to YouTube's terms of service, grants a license to any and all YouTube users to use his material the moment he uploads it onto YouTube. Since there are no damages to be recovered, no loss of income on his part, no income to claim from my part, the court would probably consider this lawsuit to be frivolous and would go no further. But I might as well go ahead and fill out the rest of this chart. Factor number 2 is also easy to put to bed. His YouTube videos are all published, so he can't argue against fair use on that point. But are his videos fact or fiction? I've never watched his Ranma stuff. Some of that may be a product of his own creative effort, but I would assume he considers everything else, his MoonFaker stuff, and his criticisms of his nasty opponents and how they have unfairly attacked him over the years for his silly beliefs, as factual. Unfortunately, he cannot make a case against fair use if he does that, so it looks like Factor 2 should always be in favor of fair use. Everything else should probably be considered on a case-by-case basis, so let's look at 2 videos that filed illegitimate takedown notices on. The video, False DMCA or Gone Berserk, criticizes use of, guess what? Illegitimate takedown notices, of course. Using the DMCA, took down 9 of Khalil Jordan Kent's videos and 16 of Lucioti San Jose's videos. Astorbrant 2 uses excerpts from 2 of his videos, including Khalil Jordan Kent Had It Coming, where explains his reasons for flagging KJK's videos for being inappropriate. In outtake number 1, the longest clip Astorbrant 2 uses, says he's all for free speech as long as that free speech doesn't hold him up to ridicule. Following this outtake, Astorbrant 2 criticizes for flagging KJK's videos simply because he was offended by them. And then, when that didn't stop KJK from cooking up another banquet of vile videos with as the main course, filed a series of illegitimate takedown notices against those videos, causing YouTube to close Khalil's account. In outtakes number 2 and number 3, attests to the brilliantly parodic nature of KJK's videos and his superbly creative, if not unholy, and ingeniously transformative use of images, not only of but of his deceased moon hoax conspiracy idols as well. If had filed a lawsuit on him, Khalil could have used his own words for his fair use defense. The video portions of these outtakes are themselves a collage of outtakes from several of KJK's videos, with narration over them. The only content is the audio track. Astorbrant 2 then talks about the illegitimate takedown notices that filed against Lucioti San Jose, and following outtake number 4, he describes brutal cyber attack on a UK physics professor that he thought was Lucioti San Jose, an incident that tenderly refers to as an unfortunate case of mistaken identity. Astorbrant 2 calls it cyberstalking an innocent person, and I would tend to agree with that. In YouTube's Dumbest Fundraiser, Astorbrant 2 describes the absolute lunacy behind Fly to the Moon fundraiser, a laughable attempt to raise $200 million for a round trip for 2 to the moon. Astorbrant 2 incorporates short clips into his video from a couple of then current status report videos to demonstrate just how futile his campaign is. Outtakes number 1 and number 2 are played together, followed by clever remarks by Astorbrant 2, including his masterful shredding of logic and claiming that giving himself $50 proves he is not soliciting for money under false pretenses. Is it any wonder why Astorbrant 2 makes fun of him? Then Astorbrant 2 plays outtake number 3 and goes through a tear-jerking analysis of how a reasonable person would never expect to raise $200 million in a single lifetime if it takes 10 months to raise the first $325. In the end, Astorbrant 2 suggests that donate any money raised so far by his ill-fated campaign to a tsunami relief fund following the 2011 Tohoku Chiho disaster. Incidentally, as of today, more than a year after Astorbrant 2 uploaded his video, has raised another $100. Unfortunately, the tickets have gone up $100 million. Is it any wonder why Astorbrant 2 makes fun of him? So how would we score Astorbrant 2's use of Studios content? Well, the outtakes Astorbrant 2 used are of stating what he would consider the facts of his case. 1. His reasons as to why certain propagandists he doesn't like need to be spanked. 2. The list of heinous crimes that had been perpetrated against him by the very same people. And 3. His confession that his intentions for fleecing his viewers in a pathetic campaign to raise $200 or $300 million are indeed honorable. Astorbrant 2's response to these outtakes surely qualifies his videos as works of comment and criticism, and perhaps even news reporting. And as I stated before, criticism is transformative. Even though the outtakes Astorbrant 2 chose for his videos remain unaltered, his use of those outtakes successfully changes their purpose, character, and meaning. As for the amount of content used, Astorbrant 2 pulled less than 25% from any of his videos, and his content is less than 25% of either of Astorbrant 2's videos. A court would probably consider that fair, especially when considering that the content that Astorbrant 2 used was clearly consistent with the purpose of his video, which would also be favorable to a finding of fair use. But what about the market effect? Could the court consider Astorbrant 2's videos as a substitute for his videos? Not likely. and Aster Brent II have polar opposite purposes to their videos, and their audiences reside in dramatically opposing camps as well. It's highly improbable, in my layman's opinion, that the court would see any similarities in the markets that these two video meisters feed. So, does the lack of evidence supporting his claim of copyright infringement in these two videos mean that filed his takedown notices in bad faith, or simply out of ignorance of the law? A couple of years ago, LiberalViewer proposed a few changes to the way YouTube handles DMCA takedown notices to keep the of this world from abusing the system. YouTube, of course, has ignored these and similar requests, but I would also like to add to this wish list a penalty of perjury section of checkboxes on the takedown web form to force copyright holders to think long and hard about whether the video they're about to take down might actually be protected by law. In conclusion, I would just ask that anyone who has received an illegitimate takedown notice from to please respond with a counter notice. If you don't want to deal with them directly, message me. I might be able to help. We've got to get YouTube to notice its abuse of the DMCA, and filing counter notices is the only way to do it. Let's put an end to his censorship.